Good morning. We'll call the June 6, 2017 Wright County Board meeting to order and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you again for coming. First on the agenda is the minutes for the 5:23 meeting. It's been a long time since we've been here.
Mr. Chair, I'll move those minutes.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Hewsome, second by Commissioner Vetch. Any corrections or anything, Lee, that you had? Or
Nope.
anyone else? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Review and approve the agenda, and I understand there is an addition that we have to approve through Susan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I'd like to petition on under items for consideration, pulling the aquatic invasive species regional inspection ordinance number 17-1 from Ways and Means, and we're scheduling it for a public hearing.
Mr. Chair, I will move up, adding that onto the agenda.
And that will be item for consideration number D.
I think that's fine.
Is that okay, Lee? No, it's not okay with Susan, so I'm not even going to. Come on in. Okay. With that addition, Commissioner Hewsome moves the agenda. Is there a second?
Mark did.
You did? Okay. Motion by Commissioner Hewsome, second by Commissioner Delight. And any other changes? Not seeing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. The consent agenda for today.
I'll make a motion to approve today's consent agenda.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Delight. And discussion, anything else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Well, that took care of a big part of the agenda, Lee.
Yep.
So we're down to timed items, and we have a replacement for Bob Hevala, our auditor treasurer today.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Board. I have a temporary liquor license for the Clearwater Lions. They have an event in August. It's an annual event, but we still have to approve the 1 to 4 day temporary liquor license.
I'll make a motion to approve the temporary liquor license for the Clearwater Lions.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Hewsome. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Adam Tagaro, Information Technology Director.
All good.
And we have Olga filling in, okay? Good morning, Olga.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Board. I would like to introduce to you our new IT developer who started on April 21st, Chris Greenwald. He brings his education in information technology and software application and a few years of working as an associate software developer.
Well, Chris, why don't you come up and say a few words, tell us a little about yourself and where you're from, where you live in now, and when you plan to move to Wright County, and
Why you wanted to work for Olga?
I currently live in Hutchinson.
okay?
I have 3 kids, 3 boys, ages 10, 7, and 5.
Okay, you're busy.
So where did you work at before?
I worked at Voya Financial in Minneapolis.
You still, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, and you lived in Hutchinson?
Yep.
Oh, this will be a lot closer drive.
Yeah.
But you're still in Hutch then?
Yep.
Okay, so when you have trouble with your car trouble, you come in Waverly, I can help you out, so. You probably come through Waverly on the way, don't you? Or do you go through, you go up North 15?
I go up 15 to Dassel, over to Cokato, and then...
Okay. It's not as good a route, but.
You'll learn the shortcut.
You'll learn.
Well, welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep,
Thank you
and
for-
look
thank you
forward
for
to
coming.
working with you. Thank you. Thank you, Olga. Okay, and next up, Virgil Hawkins, the highway engineer. Morning, Virgil.
Morning, Chairman Brown, Board of Commissioners. Today I have one item before you, and it's to renew a master partnership agreement with MnDOT, and that allows us to collaborate between their agency and our agency for different things. We've done this, this agreement lasts until, I think, 2020, and this replaces the one right now that runs out at the end of June 2017.
Chair?
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner.
Virgil, why do we have to sign an agreement to work with them? I mean, wouldn't it be kind of just common sense that you'd want to work with MnDOT? I mean, wouldn't MnDOT want to work with us? I mean, it just seems kind of...
If it were up to me, that's how things would be. But this is a MnDOT agreement. They require it from all their counties to share back and forth. And
More job security, paperwork filing?
I was gonna say, hope everybody read that.
Yeah.
there's a resolution attached
Yes.
also.
Mr. Chair, I will move the resolution.
I'll second it.
Okay, Commissioner Hewsome and Delight in with the second, and it is a resolution, and I'm gonna start with, I say aye.
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 Okay, you got 4 ayes on that one, so thank you, Virgil.
Thanks, Virgil.
And I'm sure Commissioner Potter was here, he'd say aye too.
Yeah.
I bet he would. Okay, next up, Mr. Brian Oslison, Chief Deputy Attorney. Good morning, Brian.
Morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. As my agenda request indicates, this is just informational, but it is good news that last Tuesday on May 30th, the Minnesota Court of Appeals issued a decision upholding the ruling by the Ramsey County District Court Judge in the Office of State Auditor litigation against Wright County, Becker County, and Ramsey County. The Court of Appeals is a 3-judge panel, so I think Greg Kreiser and I and perhaps someone else had attended the oral arguments before the Court of Appeals several months ago. Their ruling basically made 3 findings. One, that auditing counties is a core function of the Office of State Auditor. We tend to disagree with that one, but so we lost on that, but it was the same ruling at the lower court. The rulings we win on are that the statute change in 2015, which allows counties to choose to use a private auditor, did not take away that core function from the state auditor's office. And the third ruling being that the statute change that allows us to opt out and use a private auditor does not violate that single subject clause of the state constitution. There's a lot of case law out there on, these omnibus bills where there are many things lumped into the bills, and in this case, the court upheld the fact that this was a properly adopted law, basically, back in 2015. Judge Cleary, who is the chief judge of the Court of Appeals and was on this 3-judge panel, dissented, and I think I forwarded the decision to you folks, but basically he felt that he was siding with the state auditor on her arguments that this would decimate her office. In other words, that allowing counties to opt out would eventually take her budget down to such a low level that she wouldn't be able to operate. Because, of course, when they do as they are currently doing, the state auditor currently doing our annual audits, they send us a big bill for that. So it's a revenue source for them. In any event, Judge Cleary agreed with State Auditor Otto's argument on that respect. There was some other language in the opinion which basically invited the Minnesota Supreme Court to weigh in. The Court of Appeals is what they call an error correction court. So they're looking to see whether the lower court made mistakes in their ruling. And their decisions are primarily based on other cases that have been decided over the years, over the past 100 or more years. They were basically saying we can't forge new law. If the courts want to somehow decide that these omnibus bills are improper, then that's not for us to do, that's something for the Supreme Court to do. So the bad news to come out of all of this is that State Auditor Otto has already indicated in news reports that she's going to appeal or basically request the Minnesota Supreme Court to review this decision. So we go on to the next step, which means more expense for counties like ours. We have not received formal notice of that, but she has 30 days to do so. So I expect that we'll be hearing from them fairly soon.
And Brian, do you remember how much that, I know we have quite a bit of money in this, but how much the state auditor has put toward this lawsuit already?
You know,
It's in the hundreds of thousands.
it is.
Yeah.
It's,
The last number I seen was 250,000.
and I'm sure it's over that amount.
Could be. Now, there was a couple of bills that were in...
Yeah, to reimburse us.
Yeah, to reimburse us and Becker.
I
and
haven't
Ramsey, too.
followed
Did
that.
any of those get through, passed?
Mr. Chair and Commissioner Delight, I'm going to have to take a look at those bills because, again, they're wrapped up in the omnibus tax bill. Or I shouldn't say that. It may have been in the state government operations bill because at least one or two of the bills would require state auditor, basically for it to come out of the state auditor's budget to reimburse Wright and Becker and Ramsey. So I'll have to kind of comb through the bill and try and figure that out, if that was in there or if it was somehow vetoed or something.
And
Oh, nothing was included.
Wasn't?
We were not included for reimbursement
oh,
when I searched.
Even though it passed committee though, right?
It did. The original bill that it was included in that got passed through both chambers was vetoed. The original state omnibus bill was vetoed.
So that
And then
conference
the
committee-
special session bill that was passed did not include any special funding for this litigation.
Well,
So
Mr.
our
Chair.
application before the joint committee is still pending, and hopefully that'll be heard the next session.
Commissioner Houston.
Mr. Chair, Brian and Greg, it seems a little counterintuitive that her budget would be reduced if she has fewer counties that she's auditing, because you have to have more staff to do the audits. So, and unfortunately for us, we can hire this done so much cheaper through a private firm. So this whole thing is really unfortunate and very expensive for the taxpayers. So anyway, that's my little comment.
And Mr. Chair, my recollection is that, well, here we're into 2017. My recollection is that our 2017 audit, we had given them notice that we would have that done by a private auditor.
Right.
You know, I'm not exactly sure the timelines for the review by the Minnesota Supreme Court. And again, that's not automatic, but in a case like this, it's likely that they would take up the case. So
I wish they would have taken it directly when she requested it.
that
It would have been a lot cheaper for the
Mr.
counties.
Chair, Commissioner, and that's a good point. We did, both sides requested expedited review by the Minnesota Supreme Court early on, just kind of figuring it would go to this step, but they did not pick it up at that point, so.
And there's 5 members on that Supreme Court?
7, I believe.
There's 7?
And there it's heard by the full court, so,
I think it's good news, though. The only thing that would be better is if we did get reimbursed, because really what Becker County and Wright County are doing are defending the state law. And
Very true.
And it really is, you know, they're incumbent on them, I would think, to reimburse us for it. So I think we're doing a good job defending it, too. So,
yep.
all right.
Thank you.
And
Thank you,
Mr. Chair,
Brian.
we didn't initiate the lawsuit.
That's true. So, okay. Items for consideration. Committee of the Whole. Lee, would you take that one? That is our 5/15/2017 meeting.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. We met on May 15th to discuss strategic planning. All 5 commissioners were in attendance, along with myself, Sue Virgin, Hess, Wilczek, Picard, and Heather Bandine of AMC. Heather Bandine it should be AMC, facilitated the meeting. We kind of went over some real basic ground rules of the meeting. We discussed a little bit about media requests and to advise the commissioners to contact me and open lines of communications and ask questions when those requests come in, and be aware that personnel issues may have many private data considerations. We then talked a bit about confidentiality. When an employee makes a complaint, please direct it to the right channels. And it is hardest when people think that nothing can be done, but an employee confidentiality is paramount, meaning oftentimes folks that may submit a complaint may not find out what has all been done due to data practices laws. So we did talk about a few shared values in our small groups, which were appreciation, fairness and honesty, open-mindedness and transparency and respect, fiscal responsibility, having vision or being proactive, and talked about leadership. We did include the photo in the packet there of kind of our work that we had done there. And then we moved on to reviewing some of our strategic planning goals that we've had for the last about year or so, to talk about fostering a positive work environment for the employees, and talked about both the day-to-day logistical work that staff would provide and the big picture policy work that would be tasked to the board. You can kind of read those over there, some of the different things we came up with. The second goal we talked about was ensuring the county's financial stability. Again, this is a goal that we've had for a little bit here, and talked again about the day-to-day logistical work that the staff has worked on and will be working on, and also the big picture policy work there. Talked a bit about adopting new technologies when and where appropriate is goal 3. I did discuss at the time we had just completed the infotech analysis and thought there were some good goals that came out of that, and that there were lean initiatives that were taking place shortly as well. So we did not get to the last 2 strategic goals during the time allotted that day, and we will revisit those at an upcoming committee of the whole strategic planning meeting. So those other 2 goals we didn't get to were to continue to provide quality public services with limited resources, and to adapt to Wright County's changing demographics.
So it's all about making government work better.
Correct.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Lyden, second by Commissioner Houston, and thank you for covering those, Lee. You did a great job. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The Personnel Committee, Commissioner Lyden, could you do them?
Personnel Committee met on May 24th. Members present were Houston, Delyden, Hess. Others present were Kelly, Goodham, Schwartz, Job, Halverson, Hoffman, and Elison. Number of items were discussed. Number 1 was reclassification of the vacant administrative assistant 1 position at Health and Human Services. Since the retirement of the administrative assistant 1, they decided to look and review and reevaluate the needs of the department. Position was recommended to reclassify the administrative assistant 1 position to an administrative specialist job. And it also includes some addendums specific to the duties within administration and health and human services. We wanted to post the vacancy to start moving recruitment forward. The recommendation was approved request for reclassification of vacant administrative assistant 1 position to administrative specialist. And if I remember correctly, this was a non-union position because there's a lot of personnel things that are involved in it. Number 2, reclassification of Director of Public Health position. This item was withdrawn. She was trying to get some ideas about what to do, and she had talked with the state, and some of that sort of stuff all got taken care of. There was some revisions on the job description, and again, there was no changes in the rating. Item 3 was a budgeted GIS position. This item was tabled from April 12th for further research, including creating a job description and rating the position. They provided copies of final GIS analysis, job description, and proposed organizational chart.
You have.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on one of the pages there. And it was budgeted to start July 1st. It's to provide more in-depth technical support to the GIS coordinator. The GIS specialist is budgeted at pay grade 8. The new GIS analysis classification rated is at pay grade 13. Recommendation was approved request for reclassification of GIS specialist to GIS analysis with a start date no earlier than August 1st. And item 4 was Kelly distributed documents regarding a proposal for centralized communication position as part of a 2018 budget process. Just shared some information regarding the current state of operations versus possible future state of operations with this position. Has informed the committee that the needs of the county related to centralized communication position has been discussed in great length between management staff within administration and IT. Also, feedback was solicited from all department heads, whether or not this position would benefit their departments. Majority of the departments indicated position would bring value to their departments. And the concept was also discussed at the May leadership meeting. So this discussion was informational only in preparation for the 2018 budget process. Recommendation, continued discussion as part of the 2018 budget process. And last, but certainly not least, was our performance review of our county coordinator. And based on 4 performance evaluations received, the committee recommends a rating of meets expectations. And with that, I will make a motion to accept the minutes and the recommendation.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Delight and second by Commissioner Hewsome. And Derek, did you have anything?
No, I was like, we only had 4 reviews. Somebody didn't turn one in?
Yeah, we won't say who it was, Charlie.
Potter's not here, so we shouldn't talk.
Right, yeah.
Is
Well,
that it?
I thought we were going to go for a perfect record for the
I
year.
know.
We already came short a couple months
Yep.
in.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Technology meeting, and Commissioner Delighten has graciously accepted those as well.
Okay. Members that were there were myself, Commissioner Burrell, Adam, Tagaro, Lee Kelly, Sean Riley, Steve Job. Other presidents were Sherry Nelson, Olga Strobel, Jen Ress, Todd Hoffman, and Shauna. And actually, Todd Hoffman should be up as part of the members. Shauna Ottman, Jim Odell, Christine Partlow should also be up there as part of the members, and Alec Halverson. First thing was the Crop Productivity Index GIS Assessor Project. The Assessor's Office would like to combine available crop productivity data with the GIS to enhance their ability to do quality assessments. It would take relatively few man hours at about 69 hours from IT and about 21 hours from outside of IT. The assessors were not there. The surveyors own the GIS system. Monies were identified to pay for the project by the Assessor's Office. I myself was not in favor of expediting the work due to lack of IT resources and current IT personnel available to complete the work. Commissioner Burrell did not feel that the project was a top priority, so the action project will remain on the list but not given immediate priority to complete. They've gotten by so far this long without it, and it's not a huge financial impact to the county or anything.
And basically what that crop productivity thing is, it's another way to value cropland rather than just based on sales, they'll actually look at the productivity of the land, and
it's important, but there's other ways of getting that information right now instead of tying it in with this, and it's just, IT is stressed enough the way it is. Office 365 status update. Sam Sadness is no longer with the county. It was the project lead, so we're not sure how that's going to proceed. Strobel is going to get the timeline of the project on track in his absence. Meetings are still on schedule. Work is still being done for the rollout. Nelson stated the senior systems engineers have been actively working to prepare for Office 365, doing internal preparedness work. Fall 2017 is still the goal of initiating the rollout of Office 365, and IT will be looking at options for project leadership. Was an update only. One thing I want to add into this, and I think it was discussed, was that there will be some training provided for everybody, because the Office 365 is a little bit different. Originally, it's going to be just dealing with the email stuff, but as other things come into it, there'll be some training available for people. The future of our voice system. Again, this was an information only. The company that we've been dealing with has filed bankruptcy. And IT is currently preparing for the future in case the status begins to change. Alternate vendors are being researched in advance of any complications with Avaya, I believe it's pronounced. Changes will likely need to be seriously considered in the years 2019-2020. Riley and Kelly stated their main concerns was planning for any replacement schedules for current technology, with which advance notice would be definitely helpful. Item number 4 was Infotech workshop debrief. The information from the workshop was presented at a high level. Would like to notify staff of any changes first. There was a lot of information that came out of our Infotech meeting. It gave the IT department and the county board and administration a roadmap for the future in regards on what and who and how we're going to need to proceed. Also, the monies was well spent, as the deliverables were very in-depth and other departments had insights as well. Have you had a chance to read through all the deliverables yet?
I've looked through about maybe half of them, but it's right now I'm still having to decipher it because it's a little bit cryptic.
But yes, there was a lot of information that came out of it. Burrell questioned how contractors fit into recommendations, and Tagaro confirmed that was definitely an option. Partlow voiced the past request of many departments that it's been recognized that IT needs more staff. Departments would like to see that hiring process proceed sooner rather than later. Tagaro noted that full update will be communicated once internal staff has been updated. Item number 5, and this kind of came out from the Infotech workshop. We currently have a technology committee, and there are a number of members in it. It is extremely difficult to come to some consensus. So a steering committee is kind of what's going to proceed. Current projects are discussed, but decisions of the project are rarely made. The recommendation is to have representatives come from each sub-technology committee. Land records, sheriff, public works, law, legal, and human services. The meeting will be treated as a mandatory meeting where decisions will be expected to be made. Department heads or representative can also attend the meetings. And again, whoever the representative or the department head has to be given the permission to vote for a project. If a project on the agenda, the department will be invited to present their thoughts. And that way we can prioritize and work on IT affects all departments. A change in committee model will allow for more active, fair, and transparent participation in what projects are being completed. Action on that was implement recommendation next month. they're talking to all the different subcommittees to get their recommendations. With that, I will make a motion to approve the minutes and whatever recommendations we have.
I'll second that, but also I just wanted to ask a few questions.
Yeah.
So with the steering committee then, will these subcommittees then make recommendations which is going to kind of bind these people that are coming to the steering committee to?
Well,
What are they?
each of these departments kind of have their technology committees.
Yep.
So the idea was that they know what's going on for the land records. Let's just take that as an example. So they'll be able to figure out what's a priority for the land records completely. That person will be able to present their recommendations. And then the information that was at the steering committee will be able to be sent back through that same person to these little subcommittees. And that was one of the concerns, is that we're kind of duplicating efforts, and then also getting the information back didn't seem to be. But now we'll have one person that's going to be responsible for that sort
So
of
then
stuff.
our IT, or essentially our IT meeting then won't be with the whole 20 people
Right.
anymore, that it,
Yeah, there'll be more people there, but there'll only be so many votes, and it's going to be a kind of a binding type deal.
okay.
Coordinator, do you have any additions to what I talked about?
I just think that in the future, you'll see an item on the board to update the membership relative to this action item. I know that was kind of the challenge that Infotech had raised, that at their current technology committee, we had so many people, and it was hard to foster decisions to be made to impact technology. So this is one of the recommendations that came out of there.
Do you have any other questions?
No, it was about that Infotech is, I think just having gone through it and having read what we read, and which I think we'll have more to come as we have more of a in detail discussion at the IT level, that, it's to get where we want to be, it's going to take time still. We still have a lot of steps to go to on.
Yeah, but as I've always said, we can't continue to do more with less without the technology. And if we could ever get the state to get away from DOS software, maybe we'll be able to improve a little bit of things from that respect too, but they don't seem to be in any hurry to move from that. Job security, I think, is what it is.
I think they're just waiting to see what the feds are going to do in the next.
Yeah, but some of that stuff has nothing to do with the feds.
You wait a long time.
Okay, so anything else? We'll call for a vote on that. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Ways and Means, Commissioner Hewson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Ways and Means Committee met on May 24th, 2017. Members present: Burrell, Hewson, Lee Kelly. Others present: B. Asselson, T. Dahl, Sheriff Haggerty, S. Athman, T. Hoffman, D. Enselman, and S. Virgin. The first item was the Ag Society Fairground lease, which was laid over from March 8th. And Asselson provided an overview from the meeting of March 8th, at which time we discussed the need to update the lease agreement with the Ag Society. By statutory authority, the county can own the property for purpose of a county fair. They can also lease to the Ag Society as a public entity and other similar public entity organizations. Asselson clarified the Fair Board formed the 501c3, not the Ag Society, so we can lease to the Ag Society and they can allow the Wright County Fair to utilize the property, so it's two different entities. Burrell noted that the Ag Society allows others to use the property, such as the City of Howard Lake, and for dog shows and other events. Their lease allows them to sublease. Asselson noted the state statute does allow ag societies to purchase properties for fair purposes. Kelly stated he would like to see the ag society own the land and expressed concern with the county's risk. Burrell noted that the county should be indemnified by contract. Kelly questioned if the county can gift the land or can we sell it. Asselson responded that the statute allows the county to sell personal and real properties to another public entity. Hewson questioned what other counties are doing. Dahl responded that it's all over the place. and MCIT has indicated that's up to the county. If the county retains ownership, then we need to determine our risk. If we sell the land to the Ag Society, they assume the risk. We can defer most of the risk through the lease. Hewsome stated her preference would be to give them the land. Burrell responded he does not want the county to give up the land, and as a liaison to the fair board, it allows him to provide input on the fair. Dahl informed the committee that the Ag Society has subleased the property to a church for $15,000, and their proof of insurance is less than it should be. Asselson reminded the committee that because we own the property, we would always have the risk. Hewsome suggested that if they're subleasing, then the money should come to the county. Asselson Burrell replied that the Ag Society is responsible for all repairs and maintenance to the property and buildings, so those funds can be utilized for those purposes. Asselson spoke with Steve Job regarding the legal description. We can do it with the map and PID numbers or as an all-encompassing legal description. The committee was in consensus that an all-encompassing legal description, with an all-encompassing legal description. It was also the consensus of the committee that the 20-year lease was adequate at $1 per year. Any costs over $10,000 to the property will need to come before the county board. So utilities, repair, maintenance, and that kind of thing are the responsibility of the Ag Society. Dahl and Asselson will work on the insurance coverage. Dahl noted the organizations that are subleasing from the Ag Society need to provide proof of insurance covering to the county. And we'll get clarification of who is under the umbrella of their 501c3. It was suggested that Dahl, Asselson, a representative of MCIT, attend a fair board meeting to help flush out the lease agreement and where the liability risk exists. Dahl said we should be sure to address safety. Burrell added that the county should reserve the right to take action to alleviate any safety concerns. The recommendation is that Asselson and Dahl will work on clarifying and obtaining additional information to modify the lease agreement to include the items identified by the committee for their consideration in June. The second item was the Sheriff's Department 2018-2019 law enforcement service contracts rates. Hegarty said that the Sheriff's Department has reviewed the contract formula with the cities. They set the rate every 2 years, being sensitive to providing the base level of service to all of Wright County, and they value the contract with the cities. Business Manager Athman presented the proposal rates to the committee, noting that they did not completely redo the formula, but they're going to be looking at it going forward. So the information presented included the proposed rate increase of $2.50 per hour per year for the years 2018 and 2019. 2018 is proposed at $72 an hour, and 2019 is proposed at $70.50 an hour. Historically, the rate increase per year from 2004 to 2017 has been $1.86. Hoffman noted that the larger variables are wages and fuel. Based on the proposal, they anticipate there will be approximately $180,000 left on the table to cover costs associated with expenses incurred by the attorney's office and other services that may be required. Overtime, court time, training, insurance, and work comp have also been taken into consideration. Anselman noted that they did cost comparisons based on police departments within the county. The cities that we serve are happy with the sheriff's services. These cities also provide the deputies with office space. When larger events occur with those contracted cities, such as the Montrose homicide, the county absorbs the cost. The recommendation is to approve the law enforcement service contract rates for 2018 and 2019 at $72 an hour and $74.50 an hour, respectively. With that, Mr. Chair, I will move the minutes and the recommendation.
Commissioner Hewsome, if I could make it just a correction on the Ag Society, the third paragraph down, Susan, where it says the Ag Society allows others to use the property such as the city of Howard Lake, comma, and then just maybe say, and other groups such as dog shows and other events as well. Otherwise, it makes it look like the city of Howard Lake was
Doing the dog
show, and that's not what I meant.
I would agree with that change, Mr. Chair.
Okay. And,
I'll second her motion with the change.
okay,
I
thank
just had
you.
a few questions.
Go ahead, Darren.
I think it's great that we're offering great contracted service to the cities, but I just always wonder, have we really done a good cost analysis factoring in the risk factors? Because I just, us doing this service, and if we're not building some sort of a worst-case scenario funds, it's going to come on the back of the townships, offering low contracted police work for cities. And if we're doing it at the point where there's low margin for us as a county, we're not covering the risk. And if we would end up going negative, it's going to come at the backs of all the taxpayers, which is the townships as well, and they're not getting this coverage. I just want to make sure it's equitable.
No, the city.
They are getting the coverage, but they don't have to pay. I mean, that's part of
The cities are purchasing extra.
or actual patrol officers.
But Derek, where you make, it's a good point. I agree with Commissioner Hewson, though. It's the townships are really, they're getting the service. They're not charged like the cities are.
Yeah.
But who would, if we're not billing the correct amount, who would suffer would be the cities of Annandale, Howard Lake,
Well,
and Buffalo, because
exactly.
because their taxpayers are paying for their own service.
Yeah,
So-
they're not getting
but
contracted.
I've talked with the sheriff about that, and he said they are, I mean, they do that internally, and I don't know if
Yeah.
I just, even just from the attorney's office up there as well, because I mean, ultimately, if the cities were doing it on their own side, they'd be prosecuting it as well in term with it. I mean, I think it's great, and I want to make sure that we're offering a competitive rate, but I want to make sure we're also not doing it at our own detriment. That's,
Right. And Mr. Chair, Commissioner Vetch, that's part of the discussion that we mentioned going forward. They're going to look at the formula, and perhaps the chief deputy has something to add on
I see
that.
our chief deputy's at the podium. Good morning, Mr. Hoffman.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Sheriff's Office doesn't do this in a vacuum. We have been working on this formula for probably the past 20, 25 years, and it's always growing. It's always, we're always refining it. We worked with Lee Kelly, County Coordinator's Office, with the county board on this. This formula does include property casualty insurance, workers' compensation insurance, health insurance, other aspects of the insurance. So there is a built-in insurance aspect of this within this formula. Is it going to cover everything? I have no idea. So we'd be more than happy in the future to work again with the county board and revising this, to continue to revise this. This was actually on the county board agenda about 3 weeks ago when it was sent to the Ways and Means Committee. Prior to that, we met with the county coordinator's office. We went to the Ways and Means Committee. So if, Commissioner Vetch, if you have concerns or issues with this, by all means, contact us. We'll be more than happy to sit down and work through this with you. But as of today, we haven't heard one question on it. But again, we've been more than happy to work with the board. We've been working with the board on these types of things. To bring these issues up now after we've spent months doing this is, it's concerning. We try to be good partners. We try to work on these things. We'd be more than happy to work with the county board in the future. Thank you.
Mr. Hoffman, I'm not trying to say that what you guys have here is bad. I'm just posing it just for future questions, just so that we're having those thoughts. I'm not, I'm not saying what you have here is a bad proposal.
And honest,
I'm not, I would have called you if I had
Commissioner
a
Vetch,
question. Yep.
honestly, come to our office, or we'll come to your office. We'll sit down and discuss these things. But making some of these statements after the fact is not helpful. Thank you.
Okay. And I think I got it. I think you're talking about the future too, though. But
Yeah.
all right. Did we vote on this yet? I don't think we did.
Did we vote? No.
You moved it.
Did you see the breakdown in here?
Yeah.
I think we need a second. I think we need a second yet too. Commissioner Houston moves the minutes and the recommendations.
Didn't I second it?
You did now. And Commissioner Delight second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Better. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Scheduled committee of the whole meeting. Mr. Kelly.
Yes, I can speak to this. This kind of came as a discussion during my review period at the last Personnel Committee about some of the things that the board has the coordinator do, or potentially other items that you may want to assign oversight to me as well.
and I can speak for it too, because I just think when we had the discussion years ago, and it's, I have to bring Derek up to speed on this, but there was a big debate on the board, and there was actually was not unanimous, I don't think, but whether going with an administrator or a coordinator, and I pushed for the coordinator thing, but I said there's no reason that we couldn't even call Lee an administrator and give him whatever duties we want. There's legal things for having the coordinator position that I wanted that instead. There's more control over a coordinator than there is an administrator as far as the board. But I do think that Lee has demonstrated, in my opinion anyway, great leadership, and I think he's ready to take on some other roles. Not that he wasn't before, but he's demonstrated it to me, and I really look forward to having this discussion, and because I think there's things that Lee could make run a whole lot better.
We want to provide the best services to the county.
And that's the ultimate.
And the most efficient.
Okay.
Cost effective.
So do we have some dates, Lee, picked out?
Hadn't really looked at too many dates. We could do later in June, knowing that the 13th will probably be a busy day already, unless you wanted to do the afternoon, 14th, as a committee day.
I have a
Mr.
meeting
Chair?
that day.
Oh,
Yep,
you
go
do
ahead.
have on the
Yep.
13th, or 14th?
You're up in St. Cloud too, or?
No,
Okay. That's
I don't think so.
all right. The 13th is just really busy already.
Yeah, we're busy, but
So we could look at alternate days, or could go out to the latter part of June as well. I guess there's not a time restriction on this.
How about June 20th?
20th after the meeting?
Don't believe I'll be available that day.
Okay.
Okay.
Another vacation?
Trying something new.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So that, then we won't be meeting on that one issue with the city of Buffalo on June 20th then?
We can discuss that.
Throw the 27th then?
How about if we did something on, the 27th, you said?
27th.
You wanna go that far out?
Well,
I guess
are you
we're
gone
in a hurry.
that whole
I just-
week of the 19th?
That was my plan, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Well, let's do the 27th after the board meeting. We'll say 10:30?
Okay.
June 27th at 1:30?
10:30.
Or 10:30, I'm sorry. All right.
Mr. Chair, I will move that recommendation to set that meeting for June 27th at 10:30.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Hewsome,
I'll second it.
second by Commissioner Glyden. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. And then next up, a scheduled committee of the whole meeting to discuss a lieutenant position.
Mr. Chair, as you recall, this was an item that was pulled from the consent agenda on the 23rd meeting and to be sent to a committee of the whole. My last discussions with the sheriff's office, I believe the committee of the whole, which is already scheduled on the 13th, would work, if that would work for the board.
And what time was that at?
That was, I believe, at 11 o'clock, pending any additional carryover from the Board of Equalization and Appeal that day as well.
And go ahead, Commissioner Hewsome.
I was going to say, Mr. Chair, that we do have the, at
Board of-
11:05, the ditch coordinator.
Correct.
We set that at, in case we did have a Board of Appeals at 11.
Correct.
Would this be something that we could do at 11:10, or you mean as part of our regular agenda on the 13th?
Correct. I would propose that we add it to that 11:05 meeting. So
Okay.
you would have the ditch coordinator position as the first item.
Okay.
Or second, depending on the order you'd like, and then do the sheriff lieutenant position as the second item.
I know, I understand.
Okay.
Okay. So is there a motion to?
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Delight, second by Commissioner Hewsome to set the meeting following the 11:05 ditch meeting, whatever, so. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries unanimous. Next up, Mr. Kreiser, you are going to introduce a item here.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ordinance number 17-1 was referred to Ways and Means for further discussion. Commissioner Hewsome asked me to come forward today and ask that the board pull that from the Ways and Means Committee on the 14th and set it for a public hearing. The first available public hearing we could do it with our notification schedule and publication deadlines would be June 27th at 9:30.
Say the time, June 20,
7th
7th.
at 9:30.
June
I have to
27th.
have 10 days
So just
published
during the
notice.
board meeting.
I guess
Yeah,
we'll,
so I was thinking 9:30 would be in the board, yeah. Okay.
Correct.
Sounds good.
okay.
Now, will you providing us information ahead of time?
Yes.
On,
So, yeah, as a clarification, Mr. Chair, Mr. Kreiser, so the only action that we need to take today is to set this public hearing for this, so we don't have to take any other action with...
No, not today.
Okay.
Just pulling it from Ways and Means
Okay.
and setting it for a
All
public
right.
hearing.
Sounds good. Mr. Chair, I will move that we set a public hearing to discuss the regional inspection ordinance on June 27th at 9:30.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Hewsome, second by Commissioner Delighted. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Thank
Opposed,
you.
same sign, motion carries unanimous, okay. Thank you. And advisory committee, advisory board updates. Anyone want to start off? Commissioner Potter's not here, so.
We have to go back for a couple of...
Commissioner Potter is out in,
He's no doubt watching us, so make sure you're not slumping in your seats.
We don't
no,
know.
he is watching us. Yeah, he's out in Washington DC at the fly-in, transportation fly-in out there. So, he'll be talking with a number of our state senators and representatives about highways and that sort of stuff. I don't know if you've seen the Minnesota legislators, what they passed was $10 billion additional funding over the next 10 years, which means,
$1 billion a year.
no, 500 million,
Oh, 500 million.
or 20 years. Anyway, it ends up being about 500 million a year. And since, that's for the future, there's no guarantees. So, that's, who knows what's gonna happen there.
Okay. That it?
I was just talking about that. I don't think so. Last week, with no board meeting, we didn't have any other meetings, and
Everything seemed to be canceled, or,
I was, working so hard on my car wash,
yeah.
trying to break stuff more. And Potter does say he is watching.
Usually he's telling me, I was checking my text, usually he's telling me quit slumping or something like that, so.
Yeah, aside from, I attended the Lake Sylvia Association meeting on Saturday, and they're working diligently with the Starry Stone issue, and so
Have they had any increase in, areas of, out there?
they did not, they had a map of where different aquatic invasive species were, but I didn't ask that question specifically, and they didn't talk about that. There was-
So then it can't be
Yeah.
growing,
That
or causing concern.
they've been so, so proactive.
since you go to Lake Cronus, have you seen
Oh,
the
man.
videos of Lake Cronus?
No, I haven't been out to Lake Cronus.
Have you seen the videos of it?
Yeah, it's
It's kind of a wasteland already. I mean, so that part of it that's affected, it's scary.
It's sad.
It is.
All right.
Otherwise, I
And
don't
Derek?
really have anything.
June 1st, Thursday, the last week, I had the emergency management and public health emergency planning. Kind of just got informed on how things are at. We're, from a public health standpoint, disease infections and everything is good, so we're in good cases there. Not too much has taken place in the last 3 months since we last met. It's kind of mostly getting for a lot of the training and stuff that's going to take place later in the summer. Other than that, I attended with Bob Hevela last week on Friday, the Joint Ditch Authority. Got some good insightful stuff. Was presented by Ricky Noonan, and Houston Engineering did the presentation on kind of some of the requirements as a public ditch authority, what we're responsible, what our liabilities could be if we don't do X, Y, and Z. So it was really informative. It was nice to talk to some of the other counties and kind of seeing what they and how they implement their ditches and who they have doing it. So it was a lot of good information.
Okay. And I had Wright County Fair Board last night, and I was going to say the new guides are out, so you each have one of them. Get one to Commissioner, oh, I guess Ed can have it. I'll get one for Potter later.
Such a good salesman.
I'll get you yours later, Mike, sorry. Yours went to the press. Anyway, the Wright County Fair is going to be, it's all in July this year. It's July 26th through July 30th. And a lot of work going on right now on the Fair Board, getting everything ready. There's a lot of events that are going to be out there. They're currently putting a new floor in the office building, so everything's moved out of there. So we're going to go up and have some volunteers move everything back in another week or so here. So, but otherwise, everything's moving smooth. We did talk about the 4-H food building that we're going to probably form a committee. It'll be like a joint committee with the extension and the 4-H to look into that. So we'll go from there. That's it. Anything else? Oh, go ahead.
No, just one thing. What day did you say you were cooking hot dogs out there?
Not me.
Isn't that you?
So, all right. Lee, did you have anything else?
I did not.
Okay.
I do have one more thing.
Okay.
Commissioner Potter just texted me, and he wanted me to make sure that it was mentioned that our board chair actually fit in his uniform
For Memorial Day.
for the Memorial Day. So the uniform that he wore back when he was active
Yep.
still fit him. So either Charlie lost a lot of weight or he was really big back then too.
Are you going to wear here for us someday here then, Charlie?
I lost 24 pounds, gained 4 of it back.
That was after Memorial Day, so that you lost all the weight, just so that you could wear that uniform.
So I can bring donuts in and he'll eat them now.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, no, Mike was down for that. It's nice having him down. We had a huge crowd. Waverly Memorial Day service, I want to say there was probably 300 to 400 people there so they really, they honor their vets down
Yeah,
our way, so.
Yeah, and I also understand there's a picture of a young you in the city hall there or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were some comments made about that too. I don't think what the words were used.
Used to be good looking.
No, those weren't the words.
I appreciate all the, communities and how they have, just wonderful services. And we were out of town this Memorial Day. Otherwise, I've enjoyed attending my town memorial services.
It is, and just, I say Waverly, but all of Wright County and our area, to have all these little towns that come out for that, and it is, as a veteran, I said, it just makes you feel warm that you get that kind of support, so.
Yeah,
anyway.
the press had some great coverage
Yeah,
too on
yeah,
some of those different
great
things that were
coverage,
going
so
on.
Thank you for doing that.
Okay. All right. With that, we are adjourned at 9:59. Let's call it 10 o'clock.